Good morning. Welcome to Member Focus Monday. I'm Christina Schaefer, Director of Social Media for HAR, and I am joined this morning by HAR Chair Elect Jennifer Wauhob. Welcome, Jennifer.
Good morning. How are you?
Thank you so much for joining us. I know you're actually out of town right now and up
Yep.
extra early for this, so we truly
Yes.
appreciate it.
Live
Um,
from Las Vegas, from
la-
Inman Connect here, before the sun is even up in Las Vegas time. So happy to be with you guys.
yes, thank you. And again, thank you so much for doing that. But we have a really important topic, so we thought we need to get you on here to talk about this. And I think our members are really going to appreciate the advice you have to offer in today's program. Before we do that, though, for any member that doesn't know who you are quite yet, if you could just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I am HAR's Chair Elect. I have been a Realtor for 11 years now. I'm based out in the Katy area. I'm a mom. I have two girls. Love serving up at HAR and working with all you guys, and I'm excited to be here today to talk about this.
Wonderful. You've been volunteering with HAR, Texas Realtors, NAR for quite some time. Can you tell
Mhm.
us a little bit about that involvement and why do you think it's so important to get involved?
I can say getting involved with my association was one of the best things I ever did for my business. If you are on the fence or thinking about maybe getting involved, I can tell you I have met some of the greatest people. I have been around really sharp, smart realtors, and that makes you sharper and smarter. I have learned more about our industry, and I think your clients can tell that when you're really connected to what's going on and you know what's coming down the pike. So it's been a huge benefit to me. I've probably started volunteering and serving about 7, 8 years ago now and have gotten so much out of it. And I think I just want to point this out because I think realtors, this is one of the biggest misconceptions is that, well, if you get really involved in your association, then it's taking time away from your business and your business isn't going to thrive. And I can say that, my business has done nothing but grow every year. And I get referral business from the people that I've met through HAR and TAR and NAR. So if that's your concern, absolutely not true. It will just make you better. So I highly encourage you. And I believe, Christina, signups are they open now or are they coming?
Yes,
If you
they
want to
are
sign up
open
to
now.
serve on an
Mhm.
advisory group.
Yes, they are open now. We actually shared a link to it in the comments, hr.com/get involved. We're taking advisory group applications at this time. So thank you for that, Jennifer. And I think it's inspiring to hear it from someone like you who has been so successful and so involved. So thank you for sharing that. So
Yep.
let's get into
Yep. Sign up.
today's, yeah, let's get into today's topic, real estate scams. So we've seen this. You've discussed this a lot. You've actually been on some local news stations talking about this a little bit too. Let's talk about the rental market first. What are some of the scams that you're seeing in the rental market?
So this isn't anything new. I remember this same thing happening, 7 or 8 years ago, just personally on my listings. But I think the low inventory that we've had in our housing market, it is affecting our rental market. People are really desperate to get into houses.
Mhm.
And I think scammers are taking advantage of that. And so what we have seen recently is people will take the photos from an actual listing, the copy from an actual listing, they will post it, sorry, somewhere else like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, something like that. And people will contact them saying, hey, I want to rent this house. Unfortunately, those people are not the owners, they are not the landlords. They are having these unknowing consumers send them thousands of dollars electronically as security deposits or to hold these properties. And it's all a scam. Those people are not getting that money back.
Okay. So we're going to talk about what to do, but what to do if this happens to you or someone you know. Let's talk a little bit about some other markets, though. Are we seeing these same issues I mean, it makes sense that you're seeing this kind of in the rental market for the reasons you stated, but what about resale market? What are you seeing there?
So, not the same type of scams going on, but wire fraud is still a really big thing that we have to watch out for. I think one of the biggest things to remember, and if you've been in the business for a while, you get so used to it, you start to take it for granted, but these are very large financial transactions. If it's a lease, you're talking about thousands of dollars. If it's a purchase, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. If it's commercial, you might be talking about millions of dollars. And unfortunately, there are bad apples out there, and they know it. They know that a lot of money is changing hands in these real estate transactions. So it makes us a really big target. So we really need to be diligent and make sure that we're very careful with our clients' personal information, that we're really careful when it comes to them sending money. For example, with title companies, I always tell my clients if you get an email or something that you're not sure about, make sure you send it to me and I can check. Or we can always call the title company and verify that what you received was actually from them, because those hackers out there are really good. They can make stuff look legitimate, like it came from the title company. And the last thing we want is someone to wire all their money into the wrong hands.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. And they've put some regulations into place in the last couple of years that have hopefully helped with that a little
Mm-hmm.
bit, but you just never know. I wanted to just mention we have some members tuning in saying good morning. Nicole Lopez said she's seen this time and time again, and it really is so awful when it happens to people. So I'm glad you're here to talk about it. What about with new home and commercial real estate markets? Are there any issues there that we should be aware of?
Not that we've heard of. So if there ever is an issue, we want to make sure that you let HAR know, because we want these things to be on our radar. We will work with the authorities if something like this is going on. So not so much new home and commercial. Right now, we're really just seeing a lot of it in leases. I actually just had it happen a few months ago on one of my own lease listings. And the only reason I found out is because that consumer was smart enough to look up that address other places, and she noticed some of the information wasn't lining up. What happens in a lot of these cases is they're posting the house at a really attractive price, not what it's actually listed at. So of course, people want to jump on it. They think, oh, this is it. If it's too good to be true, it probably is, I always say. So a consumer had messaged me asking some questions. I asked her to send me screenshots of the conversation she was having with this particular individual, and he was asking her to send security deposit. I'll give you the, Venmo me, Zelle me. I know we've seen before where, hey, go to Walmart, send Bitcoin, anything like that, where somebody's not willing to meet you in person and they want you to send money immediately. It should raise a red flag. And if you get a call from a consumer and they're asking questions that just don't make sense, ask them where they're getting that information, because they very well could be talking to somebody who's trying to do the wrong thing.
Okay, thank you. And speaking of new home, we do. I should mention that today's Member Focus Monday and this week's HAR on the Move podcast are sponsored by Johnson Development Company. Stay tuned to the very end. We have a video from Tammy McCall, who I believe is actually watching this morning, and she's going to tell you a little bit about what they do. So just stay tuned for that towards the end. So a lot of different scams going on, clearly affecting every market, and people just get more and more sharp and come up with more and more ways to scam people, it seems like. But so what do you recommend? What recommendations do you have for realtors to protect their clients and their listings?
Well, unfortunately, there's not much that we can do when we post a listing that will prevent somebody from maybe copying it and posting it elsewhere. But I think it's good, especially if you're working with somebody who's looking for a lease, to explain to them if they find it on another website. HAR.com, we know those are legitimate listings. But if they're finding them on places where anybody can post, like a Facebook Marketplace or a Craigslist, that they really need to be diligent in doing their research on that. I always say Google the address. And if you see it posted on other sites and that information is not the same, like we talked about earlier, the price doesn't line up or the information doesn't line up, that should be a red flag. So just let your clients know that it's happening. And if they ever see a house, obviously as realtors, we are the best source to send them properties. But if they ever find something anywhere else, to definitely talk to their realtor before they start talking to anybody else. That would be my advice.
Okay, very good. And like you said, really important to keep your client informed as well. Let
Mhm.
them know that this is happening. Great. So let's talk a little bit about some realtor safety. In regards to realtor safety, what trends are you witnessing that could potentially put somebody in danger?
I don't think there's anything new necessarily going on, but kind of back to how we get complacent because we deal with these large financial transactions so much that sometimes we forget to be really careful. I think the same thing can happen in our business. We get so used to running around and meeting people that we don't always take the precautions that we should. So just, nothing new, but
Hmm.
still just be really cautious. If you're ever going to meet somebody new, take someone with you. I think it's great that there are apps like Life 360, and on iPhone you can share your location and you want people to know where you are, but at the same time, if something is happening to you, that's only going to help after the fact. So take somebody with you if you're going to meet somebody new. Like, I bet somebody from your office would be willing to tag along. Your manager might be willing to tag along with you. I've taken my husband before on showings and just called him my assistant if I had to go meet strangers. And it's happened before where I've done it myself. I've gotten comfortable. I've communicated with somebody over email for a while, and you kind of feel like, oh, okay. And then I went to meet them at a house, and just every warning sign was going off in my head. So you really have to trust your gut and just never put yourself in a situation that you're obviously your life, no deal is worth it. Your
Mhm.
life is the most important thing. So you've got to take care of yourself. And if that means you have to tell a client, no, I can't meet you at that time because there's nobody available to go with you, then that's what you have to do, and that's worth it in the end. I was teaching a class one time and an agent said this, and I thought, that's genius. She said, if you ever get there, just pretend like your super is not working. I type in the wrong code or something and it's just going to beep at you and you're going to go, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I guess we'll have to reschedule. Much better to do that than to ever go into a house with somebody that you're not comfortable with.
Yeah, very good. And we do have, we shared a link to it in the comments, but Safe Showings app is now free for all HAR members. So we encourage you guys to take a look at that. The link that we shared will take you directly to where you can access it for free. We also have HAR's verified user tool that our technology team put out last year. So I'd encourage you guys to check that out as well. Again, I think sometimes people get those questionable emails or texts, but they're just ready to go help somebody, right? So they jump in the car and go.
Yeah.
But again, we have these tools. And do you utilize tools like this to, kind of protect yourself a little bit?
Yeah, I have used verified user. Just if it's somebody I've never met before, for those that have never used it, what happens is you send that person the link and they have to go in and type a little bit of information, the last four digits of their social security number, and it's going to pull basically, I mean, not a full background check, but it is going to check what they're saying against what's out there, pulling from data. And I also think too, and this isn't necessarily real estate safety, but just it's good to remember as realtors, our information is everywhere. Our pictures are everywhere. Our phone numbers are everywhere. And I do know some realtors who have gotten caught up in some scams, not real estate related, but probably the way those scammers got their information was because their phone number is out there everywhere. And it's easy to find information on us. So it's just good to be extra careful in this business.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have any questions for Jennifer, go ahead and type them in now. I do have a few more questions for you. One, which is, I think, one of the crucial questions this morning is, let's say I realize one of my listings has been compromised. What do I do?
So first, try to find out where, if somebody contacts you and you can tell they are getting bad information from somebody, find out where they found that listing. So in my case, it was on Facebook Marketplace. I said, can you send me the link? So she sent me the link to it and I was able to go look it up and find it. If it's on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, I think even, some consumers can post their own properties on Zillow. So Zillow is also a place where there could be bad information. You want to go directly to that source and flag it, report it, make sure that that source knows to take it down. That's really the only thing you can do in order to stop it. And of course, contact the authorities. I had the client or the customer that contacted me, I said, report this. You have their phone number. They've exchanged a lot of information with you. Let the police know, because that's the only way this is ever going to get stopped, is if they can find the people who are doing these things and shut them down.
One recommendation we've made to realtors is to maybe set up a Google alert, right, for a listing so that you get
Yes.
notified when something comes up. Have you ever tried doing that?
No, but that's a great idea. I'm going to do that going forward, because absolutely. Then if somebody's posting it somewhere else, you're going to find out about it.
Yeah, very good. Demetria said, which verified user app do you use?
So the only way I know is I only get to it through har.com. My
Mm-hmm.
favorite thing once you get logged in is that little search bar, because anything you're ever looking for, if you just type it in. So if you just type in verified user, it's going to pop up and you can do it from your desktop. Christina, maybe can you do it from the app? I've always done it from the desktop.
Yeah, it's from the desktop. You can do it also
Okay.
from a mobile browser, but yeah, it's in the members only portal. So it's HAR's tool. Very good. So let's talk a little bit again. Let's go back to some realtor safety stuff. If a member receives a threatening email or text, or maybe unfortunately has a scary incident or experience out in the field, what should they do?
Well, you want to notify the police if necessary. You want to let your broker know so they know what's going on. But another thing I think a lot of people don't think of is you need to let HAR know. We talk to all 40,000 members. And so if there's one person who's doing something to different people, we need to know about it so we can get with the authorities, so we can, gather the information and see what we can do to let people know, so we can send out an alert to realtors so they know to be on the lookout for a certain number or a certain scam that's going on. So always always make sure you keep us in the loop. Don't forget to let us know, because we want to help, and we want to stop these people whenever this stuff happens and protect our members. So make sure you reach out to HAR and let them know if you ever get anything scary, threatening, anything like that.
Yes. And unfortunately, I mean, luckily it doesn't happen often, but unfortunately it does happen. So, like Jennifer said, let the authorities know, and then also let HAR know. I don't know if you could offer some advice here. Judy said that she made a complaint to Facebook about a listing that was for sale, and the scammer listed it for lease, but unfortunately nothing was done. Is there any best practice there on how to report these, on Facebook specifically?
I mean, I think you just have to keep contacting that source until they take it down. We mentioned leases. When it happened to me, it was a lease listing, and they had just put it at a lower price. But we have seen it a lot of times where they take a home that's for sale, that's not for lease, and they copy that and post that for lease somewhere. So just don't give up after one or two tries. Make sure you keep contacting them and let them know that this is fraudulent, and we want to protect consumers out there. So do whatever you can to get it taken down.
Very good. Well, if you have any more questions for Jennifer, go ahead and type them in the chat. We're going to take a quick look at our video from today's sponsor, Johnson Development Company, so you can learn a little bit more about them, and then we'll be back to hear some more from Jennifer.
At Johnson Development, we like to say we create communities that celebrate life. I'd like to take a moment to give you a few examples of how we do just that. Harvest Green in Richmond is the Houston area's first community to be centered around a community farm. Residents get to volunteer on the farm, shop for fresh produce at the farmer's market, and can even join the farm club and grow food on their own plots. In fact, Harvest Green's Village Farm is an award-winning community. A signature event for Siena, the Siena Art Festival, invites people to spend the day browsing artwork while sipping wine and craft beer. Residents can enjoy public events as well as activities just for them. On-site schools, restaurants, stores, and more add to the convenience of living in the Missouri City community. Nearby Riverstone offers similar conveniences with an on-site school, grocery store, restaurants, and services. The club at Riverstone is more country club than recreation center, and residents love spending the day at any number of the parks or along a community lake. Jordan Ranch, Veranda, Edgewater, Imperial, and Cross Creek Ranch, these Johnson Development communities are all worth exploring. Come on out and see why tens of thousands of people choose to make a Johnson community their home.
And thank you again to Johnson Development for sponsoring today's Member Focus Monday and this week's HAR On the Move podcast. Jennifer, you have shared a lot of great tips, a lot of helpful resources. So thank you for that. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our members this morning?
Just a reminder to be safe out there. It's been such a crazy market this last year that, people are getting creative and are trying to do crazy things. So just be diligent. Don't let your guard down. Make sure when you're talking to consumers, you are keeping them in the loop about potential scams and things that are out there. Protect yourself as well. I just think it's one of those things. I know it's nothing that we haven't heard before, but sometimes we just need the reminder, because as days go by, we get complacent, and you never want to make a mistake that could hurt you or hurt your consumers. So just make sure you're diligent and safe out there, you guys.
Well, thank you again, Jennifer, for your time this morning. We really appreciate it, especially since, again, you're traveling right now. We truly appreciate you tuning in and helping us out. So thank you again to Johnson Development for sponsoring today's program. That is it for this Member Focus Monday. We will see you all next week at 9 a.m. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.